A crippled man arrived in the state of Qi. His face had been branded. His legs had been destroyed. Most people who saw him believed his life was already over. But they were wrong, because the most dangerous part of Sun Bin had survived: his mind. After escaping from Wei, Sun Bin disappeared into Qi. He kept a low profile and avoided attention. In the Warring States period, disabled men were often treated as useless. Few people imagined this broken prisoner would one day change the balance of power across China. At first, Sun Bin lived quietly under Tian Ji's protection. He rarely appeared in public. Servants whispered about the strange man with ruined legs and the tattooed face. Some pitied him, others feared him. But Tian Ji slowly realized that even after torture and humiliation, Sun Bin's thinking remained terrifyingly sharp. According to later stories, Tian Ji first fully discovered Sun Bin's talent through horse racing. At the time, horse racing was extremely popular among the nobility. Tian Ji often competed against the king of Qi himself, but there was one problem. Tian Ji's horses were weaker in every category. His best horses were slightly worse than the king's best horses. His middle horses were slightly worse than the king's middle horses. And his weakest horses were also slightly worse. Normally, the outcome was obvious: lose all 3 races. One day, Sun Bin quietly watched the races and suddenly smiled. Tian Ji asked him what was so amusing. Sun Bin replied that the problem was not the horses, the problem was the order. Then he calmly explained his strategy. Use the weakest horse against the king's strongest horse. That race would be lost no matter what, so sacrifice it completely. Then use the strongest horse against the king's middle horse, and the middle horse against the king's weakest horse. Lose 1 race, win 2. At first, Tian Ji thought the idea sounded absurd, but he trusted Sun Bin enough to try it. The race began. As expected, Tian Ji's weakest horse lost badly against the king's strongest horse. The nobles watching nearby laughed immediately. Some believed the race was already over. Then the second race started. Tian Ji's strongest horse defeated the king's middle horse. The atmosphere suddenly changed. The king of Qi stopped smiling. Then came the final race. Tian Ji's middle horse defeated the king's weakest horse. 2 victories, 1 defeat. Tian Ji had won. The king of Qi was shocked, so was everyone else watching. For a brief moment, the entire race course fell silent. Nobody had expected such a simple rearrangement to completely reverse the result. At that moment, Tian Ji realized the crippled strategist beside him was not an ordinary man. Sun Bin was seeing the world differently from everyone else. Most people tried to win every battle. Sun Bin only cared about winning the entire game. Soon afterward, Tian Ji introduced Sun Bin to the king of Qi. The king was deeply impressed. Even after the branding and mutilation, Sun Bin remained calm, intelligent, and frighteningly sharp. He spoke carefully, never emotionally. He analyzed military situations with terrifying clarity. Before long, he became one of Qi's most trusted military advisors. The king of Qi gradually began consulting him on larger military matters. Court officials who once looked down on the crippled outsider slowly changed their attitudes. Some became curious, others became nervous, because Sun Bin's strategies worked. Again and again. Far away in Wei, Juan heard the news. Sun Bin was alive and rising again. Years earlier, Juan believed he had solved the problem forever. He had framed Sun Bin, crippled him, humiliated him, and left him to rot inside a prison cell. But now the man he feared most had returned. Juan tried to ignore the reports at first, but more and more rumors arrived from Qi. The crippled strategist was advising generals. The king of Qi trusted him deeply. and people were beginning to compare Sun Bin's talent with Pang Huan's. The old fear slowly returned. Pang Huan remembered their years studying together under Guiguzi. He remembered the quiet confidence Sun Bin always carried. Even back then, Pang Huan had understood something he never admitted openly. Sun Bin saw deeper than he did. That fear had never truly disappeared. Before long, war erupted again. Wei attacked the state of Zhao with overwhelming force. Pang Huan personally led the campaign. Zhao's defenses collapsed rapidly, and desperate messengers rushed to Qi asking for military assistance. Inside the Qi court, ministers debated fiercely. Most believed the answer was obvious: send troops directly to Zhao. But Sun Bin disagreed. He understood Pang Huan too well. If Qi marched directly to Zhao, Wei's army would simply turn and fight them head-on. Pang Huan was expecting exactly that. Instead, Sun Bin proposed something far more dangerous: attack Wei itself. At first, many ministers were confused. Zhao was under attack. Why strike somewhere else? But Sun Bin understood the real weakness of every army: home. The main Wei army had already marched far from its homeland. Its capital and core territory were now exposed. If Qi threatened Wei directly, Pang Huan would have no choice but to retreat. Some ministers worried the plan was too risky. Others believed abandoning Zhao temporarily would damage Qi's reputation. But Sun Bin remained calm. He explained that saving Zhao did not require fighting Pang Huan directly. It only required forcing him to move. The king of Qi accepted Sun Bin's strategy. Qi troops moved rapidly toward Wei territory instead of Zhao. The plan worked perfectly. When Pang Huan learned that Qi forces were threatening Wei itself, he was furious. But he had no choice. He immediately abandoned the Zhao campaign and rushed back to save Wei. This was exactly what Sun Bin wanted. The exhausted Wei army marched long distances at high speed trying to return home. Soldiers became tired. Supply lines stretched thin. Discipline weakened. Meanwhile, Qi forces waited patiently for the perfect moment. At Giling, Sun Bin launched the attack. The Wei army was caught completely off balance. Pang Huan, once believed invincible, suffered a humiliating defeat. For the first time in years, someone had outmaneuvered him completely, and that someone was Sun Bin. Later generations would summarize this strategy with 4 famous Chinese words: Besiege Wei to rescue Zhao. It would become one of the most famous concepts in Chinese military history. But for Pang Huan, the battle meant something far more personal. That night, according to later stories, Pang Huan sat silently inside his military camp. No anger, no shouting, only silence, because he finally understood the truth. Sun Bin had survived. Not only survived, he had returned stronger than before. The crippled prisoner crawling across a prison floor was now defeating him on the battlefield. And for the first time, Pang Huan truly began to fear what would happen next. Because the war between the 2 former classmates was no longer about power. It had become personal. If you want to hear more strange but true stories from Chinese history, subscribe to Imperial Absurdity.